I am the worst person in the world for designing spaces for someone like me to do shrimp tank maintenance, because my back is super bad and I won't be able to fit in this tiny little space here, will I, guys? No, no.
So what I'm going to do here, guys, is I'd like to trim the plants to where I want them to be, and then we'll do stuff like cleaning the glass, etc., removing all the debris. We fill it back up, clean the filter, etc. So let's talk about the plants we have in here first before I even think about trimming them or anything. Right? These are, in the front here is different types of crypts. There's about 3 different types here. On the rock at the back there is this is moss. This is actually weeping moss. I know it doesn't look like it, but it has seen better days, but we are going to fix this as well. Over here we have sunset high growth, which is, I think personally, is one of the nicest looking plants that you can have in an aquarium. Okay, so these are the tools of the trade we have here. We have the pruning scissors here that are bent a little bit in the end. We also have the forceps. I like to use these ones when I'm planting as well, just because of the angle. It's easier to push the plants in. We have our little acrylic safe sponge cleaner here. This is, I'm not exactly sure what this is made from, but if you have acrylic tanks, you could scrub it quite hard with this stuff and it won't scratch. When I do this, guys, right, I like to look at the tank and see what in it you would actually like to remove, or if you would like the plant to grow a certain way differently. So for me in this tank here, this Sunset High Grow is growing nicely, but it's growing towards the front, and that has a lot to do with the light here, how it being lopsided. But to try and get the plant to grow a little bit more to this side, we're going to just trim these 2 here at the very front. I'm only going to trim them down to the next node, and the node is where the plant typically will have a new growth shoot. Okay, so it is super hard for me to do this with one hand, but you'll get the idea. Right, so trim that out the way. Is there any more there? These other ones are quite low, so I won't actually remove them. Other things like roots like this that are sticking up, either move them out the way or trim them. It's the same with little bits of Java moss, etc. The only thing I have to be really careful with here is this moss is actually quite full of shrimp. I don't know if it's going to come out in the camera, but there's lots and lots of shrimp in amongst there, so I'm not going to go too crazy in cutting the moss. I keep on calling it Java moss, but this is actually Christmas moss or weeping moss. I've been told it's one of them, so that's what we'll do with this. A little bit more here, and obviously I'm not going to go too crazy with this just because it's super hard for me to do with one hand. Okay, so typically what I would do next after this is most plant cuttings will float. Right, you see the roots here, you see this here as well. What I'll do, guys, typically is I'll clean the glass with my little sponge here like this, and I'll get right into the corners, and I'll go all the way to the bottom. And this is where you have to be careful that you don't overflow your tank with your own arm. Okay, and my tank isn't that bad because I do this one quite regularly. Clean the glass because it's for our viewing pleasure. Right, so give the glass a good clean as well as you can, and then we can move on to draining the tank. Now typically with this, guys, I will do a 50% of the water in this tank. Now this is specific to the individual. I make my own water, so I can almost drain this entire tank and fill it all the way back up, and my shrimp would be perfectly fine. But that might not be the case for you, right? So this is something that you have to decide for yourself. If you use tap water doing something like this, try doing like between 10 and 15% at least once a week. Okay, let's remove this water. Wasn't that fast? Next is we remove the little filter, and here mine is a Pat Mini filter. I have these in all of my tanks because I think they're so fantastic. But basically you take the filter off, the sponge that is. But what I like to do, guys, here is just gently roll the sponge in the water like this, right? I don't know if you're going to be able to see this very well. And what that does, guys, is it gives any baby shrimp, etc., on this filter a chance to get off it, because they will cling to the filters, right? And then what I do in here is I do the same again. and you want to lift your filter up and down like this. I know a lot of you guys will say, oh, you're going a bit overboard, but trust me, baby shrimp will stick to these filters like glue. Okay? And when you are sure there's nothing on them, give them a gentle squeeze. Now I do this tank quite regularly. I do at least every single week now. Before it was very, very neglected. This water isn't going to be terribly dirty, okay? And then we're going to stick that sponge back onto that filter. I then add my water back in. Now this water has been sat in this barrel for 24 hours, and I use RO water with salted bee shrimp to a TDS of between 150 and 200, okay? I'm a little bit out of breath, guys, so pardon the big pauses. It's getting a struggle doing shrimp tanks nowadays, so bear with me. So we have our fertilizer here and our carbon here, and I just like to use a little pipette like this, and the dose is really, really small in this. Right? This is 2 mil, right? This is 4 times more than I want to put in here, right? So we have to squeeze out all this amount here, all this much, and that is half a mil. That's how much I put in a week. See how little that is, guys? And I want to put it in drops, different parts of the tank, okay? And a lot of you guys will be saying, the planted tank guys will be saying, that isn't enough carbon for a planted tank. Yes, trust me, I've actually watched these plants pearl at night time with that amount of CO2, okay? And it's the same with your fertilizer. We want at least half a mil. Now this stuff is, I think it's quite strong for an aquarium. It has ammonia nitrate in it as well, but the ammonia nitrate in it is very, very low. Like if you use like Seachem Flourish, their nitrate level is higher than this, right? But their nitrate level is marked as nitrate. This is ammonium nitrate, it's a different form, but the level is tiny. It's like 0.0026 or something % of this whole thing is ammonium nitrate, right? So it's very, very small. In a shrimp tank like this, it's going to do absolutely nothing. I've used this for months, okay? So it is shrimp safe. We are almost done with this tank. What I like to do, guys, now is I will go in and I will remove everything that I missed, like bits of roots, etc. I have plans for the sunset hydro, so I will keep these little clippings like this, but then I also use this as well. This one is very handy for duckweed, and that is to scoop like this and just grab all the surface stuff as best you can. And this is something, guys, you should try and do at least every day. Don't forget also to subscribe if you like this kind of content where you see me working on shrimp tanks, even if it's hurting my back. Oh god, who designed the shrimp rack here? Who put shrimp tanks on the bottom? Me, the dumbass. So if you have a sense of humour, guys, you will love my channel. I do loads and loads of stuff with shrimp tanks. I try and keep it as relaxing as possible, because that's the way I am. If you think you'll like that, please subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Okay, happy shrinking, guys. Thanks for watching.